guys, and welcome to my next video in my Walking Dead countdown to season 9. Okay, so yeah, I really wanted to do this video. Really. It was one of the videos that I was so excited about doing for this countdown. I got inspired over the holidays when me and my brother and his husband were randomly trying to fit random movie and TV characters into Hogwarts houses while drinking wine for fun. It was, listen, I don't judge what you guys do over the holidays, but yeah, so first and foremost, disclaimer, I really wanted to do this video, and then I didn't really realize how fucking difficult this video was actually going to be. Because, you know, The Walking Dead has a lot of different great things about it, but one of the things that it kind of prides itself on and is so very, focuses on all the time is character development and character change. So at different points in times, all of these characters kind of have been in one house or another. I cannot tell you the amount. I started working on this video months and months, like in the springtime, early springtime, and I still, up until filming this, was like, oh, maybe I should change this. And so listen, I'm gonna put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. Some people are, you know, maybe in a few houses, or could be classified and sorted into a few different houses. I'm just going with what I thought was the best argument at this given time. So, you know, I actually think this could be a really fun, more so interactive video, because you guys can put down where you would sort them down below, because let's be honest, these, I mean, really, I had some difficulties, let me tell you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is very briefly kind of go over the houses with all of you guys. Those of you who maybe don't know too much about the houses, I did a ridiculous amount of research because I didn't really want to be the person to be like, oh my god, this guy is really brave, he's Gryffindor. This person's really nice, they must be a Hufflepuff. This person's an evil piece of shit, obviously he's Slytherin. You know, like, I really didn't want to be just stereotyping people and whatever. I really wanted to get to the core of what these houses really are. And the thing is that there are brave people who are Ravenclaws, and there are, you know, kind of maybe really smart people that are Slytherin. It's not like, there's not like that one quality that defines a house. So I'm just going to go over them really quickly for those of you who would like to kind of play along. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. And so going through all of the houses, first I'm going to start with Hufflepuff. Their core value is fairness. They are very loyal people. They value friendship. They tend to be very hardworking. They're very open-minded people, very accepting people. They're not kind of stubborn and stuck in their own ways. They tend to be very compassionate and passionate people. I think that they're very dependable. They don't really like to flaunt their emotions, but sometimes it happens anyway, kind of a feel. Going into Ravenclaw, Ravenclaw is obviously, it's kind of known as the smart house. They value knowledge. They value getting more knowledge as, you know, time as kind of is sort of more important than a lot of the other priorities in their life. They care about wisdom. They're obviously very kind of intellectual people. They're logical people, which is kind of a really important part of them. They're very independent, and they don't really need a ton of people around them. That doesn't mean that they are always introverts or anything like that, but that tends to be kind of how they are. They're very internally validated. They tend to be observers more than participants, but what I will say, when sorting out Walking Dead people, it's kind of hard to find people who are observers and not at all participants. It's the fucking apocalypse. Two things that were really interesting when I was doing my research on Ravenclaws. One is that they're not necessarily good at school. They're good at whatever craft they want to have the most knowledge on. They seem to be kind of, they perfect what they know about. And they care to get more knowledge about said subject. And the other thing is that they tend to be one of the most like creative people. They're definitely very kind of unique and can think on their feet really easily. And it's not just, they're not just like school learning like people. They can, they have all different sorts of just very, and obviously they're very prideful about their intelligence as well. All right, moving on to Gryffindor. Obviously, a lot of people think of Gryffindor as the courageous and brave house. I'm going to say that that's accurate. One thing about everything, all the characters in The Walking Dead, most of them have to be kind of brave. So I didn't focus on that as much as maybe other aspects in the Gryffindor house. They're obviously leaders. I mean, it's kind of, they're very prideful in the fact that they are really good leaders. They don't really like liars. They don't really like people who are a bit more manipulative. They have a tendency to own their own mistakes, and they have a strong moral center, and it's really important for them to kind of encourage everybody else to have a very strong moral center as well. And their core value is justice. They really, really care about justice being brought to the right people, and for, you know, good and bad, both ends of the spectrum. Which is why I think that they have a bit issues a lot of the times with Slytherin. And yes, guys, let me just tell you, I am very aware of how ironic it is that I am sorted into the Slytherin house. It's really funny, and this is where I want to really talk about stereotypes with the houses, because I think of myself as a fairly nice person. Now, maybe you don't agree, but in general, I've always thought of myself as a kind individual. And so when I originally got sorted into the Slytherin house, like, I can see some aspects of my personality like that, but I was like, I don't think I am. Like, I'm not evil. Am I evil? Like, I'm, you know, questioning my morals and everything like that. And then when I actually did research for this video about what actually is a Slytherin, I am so Slytherin, it's not even funny, because so Slytherin tend to be very cunning people. They're clever. They do seek knowledge just like Ravenclaw, but I think the difference is Ravenclaw really likes to seek knowledge because they're very interested in it, and Slytherin likes to seek knowledge in order to obtain whatever goals they have. They're very ambitious, very focused on their goals, and the number one thing that I related to more than anything is Slytherin does not like to depend on other people at all, which that's me. I will put a million like workload whatever on myself because I know that I'll do it right. I was that annoying asshole in group projects in school where I was like, I'll do it. I'll do everything. I hated group projects. I didn't want to be part of a team. I wanted to accomplish it. And something that irks me more than anything is like, it makes me sound like such an asshole, but I hate participation trophies and stuff. Like, everybody gets a trophy. No, why don't we give a trophy to the person who earned it? That is like really core and deep, and that is a very Slytherin way. So once I started looking at all of this, I was like, okay, I kind of get why I'm very Slytherin. Now, the thing that people, that I found was really interesting is that Slytherin are actually loyal people, but they're just very selective about who they're loyal to. You kind of have to earn their loyalty, whereas maybe in other houses, there's a lot more kind of fair, wanting to be loyal to particular people. They are able to separate themselves from what they do, which is kind of why a lot of bad guys kind of get sort of Slytherin listen, I'm not saying we're perfect. And the core value in Slytherin is success. Achieving your goals. Now, your goals doesn't have to be self-benefiting, but it's really about achieving your goals. This is at least what I found about these 4 houses. So, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. You can discuss in the comments. It's really difficult to, you know, most of what I wrote down here, I didn't just Google like, what are the traits of whatever. I sort of looked at what was actually, you know, taken excerpts from the books of like things that people have witnessed and whatever about all of the houses. And obviously my Gryffindor notes are like so much more fleshed out than the others because Gryffindor is just focused on the most out of the houses. But okay, I'm sorry this is so long. I'm gonna get right into the characters, so let's get started. So I am obviously going to start this video with Rick Grimes, the one, the only, the main character. Now, the thing is, when I think of Rick, I think of he bounced between, you know, Gryffindor, and then he was Slytherin, and then he was Gryffindor, and then he's Slytherin. It's like whatever day of the week he wakes up, he might be one or the other. Now, like, because obviously he's brave. You can't really knock him for that. And obviously he's a leader. He has ambition, and that's really kind of at the core of who he is. He's very self-reliant. I think that he is kind of big on cost-benefit analysis, which is a very kind of Slytherin trait. Sorry, I'm looking down at my notes. You guys have no idea how many notes I've taken for this. He's definitely, you know, he's sometimes honest and brutally honest. Sometimes he's not. Sometimes he has kind of very strong morals. Sometimes he throws them out the window. It is so difficult. But you know what I'm gonna say for him is I have to put him in Gryffindor. He can, as much as I want to claim him, listen, you guys have no idea how much I want. And I think probably for the beginning of season 8, he might have been slightly more Slytherin, especially when he kind of, that scene where he conned the, and killed all of those saviors and stuff. But right now, taking his son's advice about everything that's going on right now, I'm gonna stick him on Gryffindor. He seems to kind of have found his way back to being slightly more about morals and bringing justice, but it might be a different kind of justice than he was thinking of. I think he always cares about his people and about I don't think I could put him in anything other than Gryffindor. And it seems like he's just better suited. So Rick Grimes is going into Gryffindor. The next person that I am going to talk about is Rosita. And so she was an interesting one. She was a really interesting one, and I'm making a case for something that I feel like a lot of you might not agree with. But I think that she's definitely the type of person who takes matters into her own hands. She doesn't entirely like to rely on other people. And so that kind of, she has kind of Slytherin aspects, I think. Now, she's definitely brave, which I think definitely makes her, you know, I don't know. She was kind of one of the people that I was like, just because she's brave, does that mean I have to throw her into Gryffindor? I don't think so. And the number one thing that really stuck out to me when I was going through these people and seeing what houses they should be sorted in, I felt like when she was talking to Sasha, when they were kind of going on that crazy mission, I really, really focused on the fact that she said that she dated all of these guys and she didn't really care too much about the investment of the relationship, but she cared about the knowledge she got from every single guy. One was a mechanic and she learned stuff like that. She learned a lot of stuff from Eugene over the years. She really kind of seems to be like a Swiss Army knife of people. She doesn't, now, she's not like a perfect, like she hasn't perfected maybe her craft, but she's seeking knowledge wherever she goes. She's very observant, and though she is a participant, it's hard not to be in this universe. I'm gonna stick her in Ravenclaw, and I feel pretty confident in that being a really good idea or a good sorting for her character. So Ravenclaw, you get Rosita. we are now going to move on to the warrior goddess that is Michonne. Now, oh boy, I feel like I'm gonna get hate for this. I feel like this is where, you know, the Potter fans are gonna be like, you are so wrong. But, all right. I think that Michonne is probably one of the most loyal people that there is on this show. I think that she is very maternal. She is idealistic, which kind of makes her slightly more on kind of a Gryffindor Hufflepuff side than a Slytherin Ravenclaw side, right? But I gotta say, and again, there's like certain moments that really stick out to me. I'm putting her in Hufflepuff. Now, hear me out, hear me out. I know, she kind of exudes very Gryffindor-like qualities. She's very brave. She kind of is, she does have kind of leadership aspects, though she hasn't really been in a leadership position. I feel like she would do a good job, I think. But I just want to say, Hufflepuffs can be leaders too. I'm just trying to inspire people. But the thing is that she's a very compassionate person. And I feel like a lot, when I was reading kind of the qualities of Hufflepuffs, it just resonated as Michonne to me. Now, she's a badass motherfucking Hufflepuff, but I believe, you know, like the first thing that she did when she saw Maggie and Glenn get taken by Merle way back when, she saw baby formula, and that super compassionate, she was like, where were they going? Whatever. And she brings the baby formula to the prison. I think that was just such an important moment for her. And she always seems to kind of, you could kind of go back and forth. But I think she's super loyal, and I think she really cares about kind of fairness and equality. And she's obviously one of the most hardworking people. I don't know. I'm giving her to Hufflepuff. Now we are going to go right into somebody who's still developing a bit. So this may not be like a final answer. Honestly, none of them are final answers. Everybody changes in the show. But I'm gonna go and start with Enid. So Enid is really, really interesting. And she was one of the ones that I was a little scared of doing, because I was like, well, she hasn't been as fleshed out as the other characters. This is gonna be a little difficult. But when I actually was like looking at her storyline and stuff, I believe I got her down so far. She might change. Now, she really does take matters into her own hands. She seems a bit impulsive, you know, but the thing that really, you know, she definitely, you know, she killed Netanya to protect Aaron, but afterwards, I thought that was the most important thing with Enid. She did own her mistakes. She did kind of say, yes, I did it. But then she continued to kind of say, and this is, you know, she kind of made a case of why, like, she didn't sit around and go, oh, I'm so sorry. I just, you know, she was like, listen, you guys need to join the fight, or you're all gonna die, and it's in your best interest to join our fight. And I think even when the people came to kind of share supplies, the bizarre, they're gonna come up again, but when she was talking to Maggie about it, and Michonne was really like, yes, this is important, we need to share, we need to whatever, and Enid was like, no, we need to look out for our own interests, we need to look out for our own people. Now, she could still develop into something different, but right now I'm putting her as a Slytherin. I know that's maybe a little bit weird, but I'm gonna put that for her. She really does rely on herself. She does take initiative kind of into her own hands. She went with Aaron like so willingly to be like, yeah, okay, let's go do something, you know? If we want shit to get done, we better do it ourselves. And I like that attitude about her, and yeah, so she's gonna go right on into Slytherin. The next person that I am going to talk about is Jadis, or whatever her name is. But most people know her as Jadis. We're gonna go with that for right now until we kind of develop her otherwise. What is what's with this show or this universe and like people changing their names all the time. I'm not about it. But anyway, so she's interesting. One of the ones that is kind of difficult to get a hold on because we don't know too much about her. She's very secretive. She seems to have been putting on an act all this time. All of this, she could be something completely different. If I end season 9, I could have a completely different say. But what I am going to say is one of the things, I'm going to sort her as Ravenclaw, and I'm going to explain why. She's definitely very artistic and creative. That is kind of her thing. They're like a bunch of kind of bizarre, but artists. Now, I thought that that was kind of really important because, and that's a really big quality in the Ravenclaw house. Also, observer more than participant. She does not want to get in anybody's fights. Now that could all be a cover. There's all sorts of things that could be going on here. She could be a hella Slytherin. We don't really know yet. But right now, from what evidence we have, she doesn't want to be brought into any fights. She does think very highly of her smarts. And that kind of came crashing down a little bit in this last bit. I would say that maybe switching sides that often was not the brightest decision, but she was very confident in her decisions. And she is a master at whatever she's doing, at whatever con she's playing, whatever is going on. I think that she is very Ravenclaw, and I think you can make a case for other houses, but right now, with the evidence that we're given, I'm gonna stick her in Ravenclaw. Let's move on to Father Gabriel. This is interesting. This is really interesting because you guys are gonna be like, Jess, you've lost your mind. You lost your mind. And maybe I have. I've stared at these characters and what houses they should go in for months now. And it's really funny. As soon as I looked at Father Gabriel, I said, Hufflepuff. He's gonna be Hufflepuff. I feel like he's very compassionate. He cares about fairness. He cares about people. He doesn't really have a ton of ambitions on his own, so he's so Huffly, you know? Like, I was really about it. But then, weirdly, oh God, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put him in Gryffindor. I know, the biggest coward, whatever, but I wouldn't put him in Gryffindor in the first place. And if I told past Jess, who was watching season 5 of The Walking Dead, that I would sort Father Gabriel into like the house that really cherishes being brave, I'd be like, bitch, you're crazy. But when you think about everything that he did and all of the initiative that he took, especially in this last season and even before that, it all comes down to courage. It all comes down to that moment in No Way Out where he really said, no, if we need to fight. If we're gonna do anything, we are going to fight. I think before that, you could make a case for, you know, Hufflepuff. Well, no, not really. Maybe more Ravenclaw, even though they're kind of cynics. I don't know. Sorry, going on a tangent. But he really did kind of find the courage. And you know what? Gryffindors are kind. Gryffindors like to see kind of this was another big point to me. Gryffindors like to see the potential in people, and I feel like Father Gabriel does that all the time, no matter who he comes across, who he meets. And he's really obviously has very strong morals and does kind of like to share those morals and convince other people to get those morals, everything that happened with him and Eugene and everything like that. I know it sounds insane, absolutely insane, but I think right at this moment, Gabriel is a Gryffindor. Now we are going to go and start with Eugene. Okay. So when I started Eugene, if you like think about like the houses and you think about who's going to be sorted into Ravenclaw, you just say Eugene. And I believe I'm going to put him there. But I did have a kind of counteracting, like, he could really be a great candidate for Slytherin. He is cunning. He lies in order to get what he wants. He, like, you can make a strong case for Slytherin for Eugene. But what I think is really important about Ravenclaw, when I did my research about it, there was a lot of kind of excerpts, sorry, from the books and stuff, basically saying how Ravenclaw people were really, a lot of the time, very competitive, very much looking out for their own interests. And the thing is they're very prideful. And I think that Eugene, if somebody has more pride in their intellect, I don't think I could physically put him into another house because it just wouldn't make, you know, any sense. So I am going to stick him right in Ravenclaw. I think he definitely tends to be a cynic, and I definitely think he is an observer more than a participant for almost the entire show. He did come through in the finale, but you know what I mean. He's a Ravenclaw. Now we are going to move to Ezekiel, or King Ezekiel, even though he doesn't like that title anymore. So, all right, he is one of the ones that I feel like is stuck between two houses. He's obviously a leader. He obviously takes initiative. He's obviously ambitious. Listen, fucking, like, you don't call yourself a king if you're not ambitious. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. It's difficult because he has come a long way from, I think in the beginning of the show, he is for sure Slytherin. And I think I'm going to keep him there. Why? He does have a possibility of moving to another house, depending on where they go with their this character development. But here's what I'd like to put out there, because my kind of message in this entire video is the fact that not all Slytherins are assholes or anything like that. He lies to get what he wants. He deceives to get what he wants. Whether or not what he wants is, like, I think for me that's kind of the thing. What he wants might be the good of his own people. I don't necessarily think that it's always has to be like for him to kind of look out only for himself. I feel like he has very loyal tendencies to the people who have kind of earned it, but he's also very skeptical for a lot of other people. You know, Rick came in and he was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about you. I don't know if I want to get mixed up in this. And for that reason, I'm going to keep him in Slytherin. Again, I feel like you can make a strong case for Gryffindor, but just for how he got where he is, and even a big thing about Slytherins is that they're very prepared and they think of everything. And when he got his people to safety in that season 8 mid-season finale, that was a very well thought out plan. And, you know, it wasn't just, I don't know. I think my gut says that he is a Slytherin. The next person I'm going to talk about in this video is Aaron. Now, for me, Aaron, he was one of the ones that really, I don't really see him as Slytherin, but other than that, I feel like he could go into almost any house. But the thing that I really think about Aaron, it was torn between Hufflepuff and Gryffindor. He's very accepting of others. He kind of goes out. He has this sort of hope that is very idealistic, which I believe is a big quality for both Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. Sorry, I'm really sorry to keep, like, looking down at my notes. There's something about Aaron, he's really stubborn. He doesn't give up. If we can see anything with Oceanside, it's that he's really stubborn and doesn't give up. That tends to be a very Gryffindor-like quality. I think he, again, has a strong moral center. He always has. I feel like he's one of the few people who is a very strong moral center of the group. And I feel like he could be a great leader. He is, and he has the potential to be that. Now, you can't have every single character that is a Gryffindor be a leader, but I think he has the potential to get there. I think that he would feel very comfortable in that position. So that's why I'm going to put him towards Gryffindor. I think, and not just because he's brave, though he is absolutely brave, but I think all of the other aspects of him go more towards a Gryffindor house than a Hufflepuff house. All right, let's go right into Negan. Okay, he's Slytherin. He's Slytherin. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, like, I understand that I'm trying to make a point that not all, like, bad guys or villains are Slytherin. Not all Slytherins are bad guys, but a lot of bad guys are Slytherin. That's the best way to put it. All right, I did take notes, even though I felt like I really didn't have to. He's obviously ambitious. He's obviously focused on his own goals. I will say he is loyal to a few people who have earned it. I mean, my lord, he is so, like, the number one thing is Slytherins really like to think through things, and cost-benefit analysis is huge for them, and that is like all of what Negan has done. And he's able to separate themselves from what they do. I mean, how many times has he killed somebody, beat somebody to death, and said, yeah, but it's for the greater good, and I had to do it. If somebody had to do it, it had to be me. Like, absolutely, absolutely, Negan is the most Slytherin. So, keeping the stereotypes alive, but yeah, Negan, go into Slytherin house. Let's just get this over with. So let's go into one of the other kind of newer characters in, not that new, but, you know, in comparison to, like, Rick, new. And go with Jesus. Jesus was a tough one. He is probably one of the few that I feel like you could make a case for every single one, really. He kind of has aspects of everything. Now, the thing that was really interesting is we don't know where he's going in the next season. He was with Maggie in that final scene. Now, we don't really know if he's just keeping an eye on Maggie, if he agrees with her, if he does, maybe it's, I don't know. There's a lot of different kind of aspects that could come into play next season that could change this all around. He does really believe in fairness. I think that it is really important to him that, you know, I couldn't really not address the fact that he really did feel like we didn't have to kill all of the saviors. It was a really, really important thing for him to make note of, and that was kind of a big part. He sees the bigger picture a lot. He's very dependable. And here's the thing. He is a master of his craft. You guys probably know where I'm going with this. I feel like he could be Hufflepuff, but I actually feel like he could be more Ravenclaw. The thing is that, like, and that's the fact that when I did research on Ravenclaw and they said it doesn't have to necessarily be book smarts. Now, I'm not saying that Jesus isn't a smart guy, because I actually think he is. But, like, I think he's mastered his craft of fighting. I mean, hand to hand, it's really difficult to beat Jesus in combat. I really believe that wholeheartedly. And the number one thing that was, like, he's really good at kind of thinking on his feet and really kind of making snap decisions, and he has a lot of faith in the decisions that he makes. I really want to put him as a Ravenclaw. Now, I understand that he is a participant, but I think he observes a lot, but it may be more about human nature than anything else. I think he was very aware of everything that was going on with Morgan before most people knew that there was, you know, even a problem with, you know, Morgan in the last season. I think he also is paying very high attention to what is going on with Maggie, and he's kind of there to sort of be a support system for her when she needs it. He's very observant. I have to, it's bizarre, and I feel you can make a case for Huffle, you can make a case for Griffin. He could be anything, but I'm going to stick him in Ravenclaw, and I feel pretty strongly about that. Now I'm going to move on to big fan favorite, longtime character, Daryl. This is going to be interesting. Now, there's a lot of people that I've said that I looked at and I said, oh, they're obviously in this house, and they're obviously, and then I figured out that I found out that it was kind of another house. And I feel like most people, when they look at Daryl, they would go Gryffindor. But I don't agree. I feel strongly about it, but you can come for me in the comments. I understand. But I think, now, you can also make a really, really good case for Ravenclaw. He's very good at tracking. He's very good at, he really mastered his craft. Like, right? Absolutely. But when I think of Daryl, as soon as the name popped into my head, I just literally said, he's a Hufflepuff. He is for sure a Hufflepuff. Now let me explain and try to make my point. He is so loyal. Like, to a fault sometimes. When I think of Hufflepuffs, and I think a misconception of Hufflepuffs is that they're always nice. They're always the nice people, and they care. They are compassionate, and they probably are more predisposed to be kind to others than maybe whatever. But I think, not that Daryl's not nice, I'm making him sound like he's an asshole, but sometimes he is. But when I think of loyalty and friendship being so high on their, like, priorities in life, I think, like, if you fuck with their friends, they'll cut you. They'll, like, I think that's a misconception about Hufflepuffs. They can get grimy if they want to, you know what I mean? And I think just so impulsive. Negan says some shit to Rosita. Bam, punch. And that getting Glenn killed, he could not forgive himself. There was no way he could forgive himself for that. Because of his loyalty, of his friendship with Glenn. When Beth gets shot, 2 seconds later, he's like, bitch, you're done, bye. I so wholeheartedly believe that he is a Hufflepuff. I think he has no desire to be a leader. He said it so many times at the end of season 2 when he talks about, like, when Carol's like, ooh, Rick is kind of losing his mind with that, the whole dictatorship thing. And Daryl's like, he's done right by me, I'm good. You know, and if you don't do him wrong, he doesn't do you right, kind of a vibe. And I think he is the best, one of the best soldiers that group has, for sure. I'm not putting him down in any sort of way. I just think he really has absolutely no desire to really climb the ranks of being kind of the most important person or anything like that. It's just not, you know, in his nature. He doesn't like flaunting his emotions, which is very Hufflepuff, but sometimes they come up. Very Hufflepuff. I think maybe Ravenclaws are a little bit better at keeping it down. But again, that might be another stereotype. But anyway, I mean, obviously he is brave. Obviously he's an amazing fighter, but I think he's a Hufflepuff. Now let's move on to Tara. So yeah, Tara's an interesting one. I think Tara, again, could be a lot of different things, but I think her, I'm just gonna go right off the bat and tell you I'm gonna sort her into Hufflepuff. Why? Because it's another thing that I kind of was really focusing on, the loyalty thing. Very similar to Daryl. You know, she felt very loyal to Glenn. She felt very loyal to Denise. It was really difficult for her to ever forgive Dwight because of that. She really does crave human interaction, human friendship. You could always see her trying to bond with other characters throughout the show. You can kind of see that she kind of has a good relationship with most people, as long as you don't cross her, kind of a situation, or more so cross people she loves, which that makes her, I feel like, more Hufflepuff than maybe like Slytherin, maybe. She seems to be a very protective person. Sorry, looking at my notes again. It happens sometimes, guys. She definitely has, it's I think with everything, and something that I really wanted to look into when analyzing her for the sorting, was the fact that she really did have all of this compassion for Oceanside. It was really, really important, but eventually her loyalty kind of surpassed her morals, which I felt made her slightly more Hufflepuff than Gryffindor. Just my, listen, This is just my opinion. So I'm gonna stick her in Hufflepuff. Now let's move on to the one character that I think changed the most, changed a lot, changes, just a lot of change going on, all right? And that is Carol. Oh, Lord, Carol. She's interesting. All right. She's definitely cunning. She's definitely practical. I wouldn't really call her, she's a little bit more of a realist than some of the other characters. I would definitely kind of, I think some of the decisions she's made, some of the heartbreaking decisions that she's made over the time is because of the fact of how much of a realist that she is. She's definitely a participant. She definitely gets shit done when she needs to. Now, she did kind of have that period of time where she tried to lock herself away, but that didn't last very long when she found out about, you know, Glenn and Abraham. I will say she's not that ambitious. Though you could possibly make a case that she is, in the sense that Carol is really a mom, protecting every single person that she's ever cared about. And if that's her goal, making sure that they live and she takes a lot of the brunt herself, I just absolutely don't think I could put her in anything else other than Slytherin. Again, I think you can make a case for almost any of the others at any other given time. They're really, I mean, you could really make a case for Ravenclaw for sure. But I think she is for sure a Slytherin. She's very independent, and she is able to charm the fuck out of people. Whether it's by lying, whether it's just her personality, I feel like she really is a charming person. And again, the goals of a Slytherin don't necessarily have to be malicious goals. She can, though she has killed a lot of people and she's had to deal with that consequence. I think that she is probably one of the biggest examples of a Slytherin, and how Slytherins maybe aren't the worst people in the world. Now we are going to move on to who I thought was the hardest character to sort out. The hardest. And my notes on this character are like pages long. I took this way too seriously, guys. I really did. But, and that is Maggie. Maggie could be, I think I had her at one point, her final answer, as every single one at some point in time. There are so, okay. So the main thing that, it's so difficult. I think you can make a very strong case that she is a Ravenclaw. She's very smart. She kind of takes in a lot of knowledge, especially being Herschel's daughter. It's kind of there. I think you can make a strong case for Slytherin. She does really do stuff to act in her own interest. She's very focused on her own goals. When you think about like when she was really searching for Glenn and stuff like that, not much else that mattered except for her goals, and she did everything herself. And even like utilizing like the ways that she was trying to find Glenn and stuff was probably very Ravenclaw of her. I think she's a caring individual. I think she cares about fairness and stuff like that. I would put maybe just a Hufflepuff, you know, good stuff. But I decided on Gryffindor. One of the main reasons why I decided on Gryffindor is the core value in the Gryffindor house is justice. And that's all she wants for Negan. Now, her idea of justice and Rick's idea of justice is kind of different right now. They're gonna butt heads. I think they're both Gryffindors, and she's a great leader. I feel like she is ambitious. I feel like she's kind of accepted that sort of, you know, leader role. And another thing that really kind of made me push her more into Gryffindor than anywhere else was the fact that, you know, Gryffindors are very honest and they hate kind of conniving, liary Gregorys of the world. You know what I mean? And she really has a hard time dealing with Gregory. And she's really kind of good at decision making. You know, she knew to not mistreat the saviors. She had a very you know, and she knew that Gregory wasn't worth all of the kind of, you know, and I think she does have an idealistic view of the world. Whether that was brought on by Glenn or she had that in her all along, I just gotta say, I think she was the one that I just, man, if you could see the notes and stuff that I took on her, she could be any. Definitely put down below where you would put Maggie, but I'm keeping her as Gryffindor. Final answer. And last but not least, I am going to talk about Jerry. Jerry's gonna be the final one. And yes, I'm sorry, I could go into a long explanation, but if you do not think that Jerry is the most huffliest, puffiest motherfucker in The Walking Dead, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. I know. Let's not stereotype people, but come on. Jerry is so fucking Hufflepuff. I can't even take it. All right, let's go into it a little bit. He's obviously loyal. You know, loyal to the, like, he calls Ezekiel a king even after Ezekiel's like, I'm not your king. Like, he's like, bro, you're my king. Like, and he always calls him a bro. He is so loyal. He is so compassionate. He is definitely hardworking. You know, he's definitely a very dependable person. You know, Jerry's down to fight with you. If he is on your side, you just, obviously he's brave. Obviously he has other qualities, but he's Hufflepuff. You cannot tell me that Jerry is anything other than Hufflepuff. You just can't. So for most of these characters, I would say, yeah, maybe they could be this or maybe they could be that, but I feel like Jerry's so Hufflepuff, it's not even funny. All right, guys, I'm sorry if this is a super long video for you. Given these traits and everything that I've kind of said, and listen, guys, I do understand that I tried to do my best when it came to researching the traits and the core values and everything like that in the houses. I really did try my best, but I do know that people are very opinionated of the houses and what they entail, and I really don't want... This is supposed to be a fun video, okay? Just disclaimer. I do understand that maybe you may not agree with some of the traits that I put with each house, but what I do feel confident in saying is I did my best and I researched as much as I could. I was very thorough with this. But let me know what house you think you belong in, and if you took the Pottermore quiz or anything like that and kind of found out what house you're in, and what house really sounds more like you. And just let me know if you agree with where I don't even know if I went back and watched this video in a week, if I would agree with where I put people. But, you know, what's done is done now. You are sorted. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this very interesting video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.